Hello, welcome back again. Today I won't be doing a review, but I'll be showing you how to go about depotting a MAC shadow like this, such that it fits inside of a MAC palette, just like this. You can buy the depotted pan, or just the pan itself, from a MAC store for about $10.50, I believe. And it comes already with a magnet on the back with a label, and you just take it out of the package, place it in the palette, and it sticks in and doesn't come out. So that's the principle behind a magnetic cosmetic palette. You can also find other shadows that are the same size as the MAC ones, like ELF, NYX. They will fit in here, but you have to either affix a magnet or buy the variety that already has the magnet on it, just like this one. So keep an eye out for those. I believe Stila ones might be too large. Same thing for maybe Ulta or Milani. I'm not sure. I don't really own any of those, but that's what I'm guessing. So at least those three brands can fit inside this palette, so which is kind of cool because you can have them all in one centralized location if you want to travel with them a lot instead of having these and being in a train case or something very large. One comment I have is that I know a lot of girls show how they depot their shadows. But I thought I would just show you how I go about doing it, because maybe the way I do it is a little different, maybe a little easier, maybe the way I get my materials or use the materials is a little bit more similar to what you might have or do. So that's why I posted it. Not to be redundant, but this is the way I do it. Okay, so here's an overview of the materials that I use. The first thing you need is obviously the MAC shadows you want to depot. I have like 6 right here. And then a little case for carrying your empty cases after you depot them. So if you have 6 empty MAC containers of any kind, like a lipstick, foundation, lip gloss, and eyeshadow, you can exchange them for a free lipstick, lip gloss, or eyeshadow. So you definitely need to keep these, which is another motivation to depot them. And then you need your empty or palette, MAC palette, ELF palette, that's magnetic. And then you'll need a pen, a magnet, this is from like an advertisement, a knife that you don't really want to use anymore, you don't really care about messing up, with a pointy tip, some wax paper right here, this is Reynolds wax paper, and a straightening iron, and a towel. So right below is like a cheesy little beach towel that I don't use anymore. I don't really care about screwing up. Okay, I just forgot to mention 2 of the materials you'll be needing. One would be a paper clip that's been kind of twisted out to create this like metal end, and the other one would be the scissors. Sorry about that. So a comment about the heating element. You will need a heating element to depot your shadow, and you need either it should either be a candle, an iron, or a straightening iron. Basically, you want to just create even heat on the bottom of a pan, like right here, so that the glue, which is holding the pan in, becomes tacky again, so that you can pry out the pan. And then from that state, you can then just stick on a magnet to the back and just pop it in your palette. So I used to use a regular iron. You know, if you just iron your clothes, you could turn it upside down and hold it with your hand, or you can wedge it between 2 books to hold it up flat, and then just put the shadow on top of it to heat the bottom. But I found that a straightening iron works especially well because it can just sit like this by itself, and you can just stick the shadow inside, and it heats pretty evenly. So you can do this, or you can use a candle, which I hear gives off fumes because it's just so hot that it just kind of melts all the plastic, and you need to ventilate the area. I would suggest doing that if you do smell any fumes. There will be a little bit. If you start seeing smoke or something weird, do ventilate where you're sitting, but this usually doesn't do anything weird. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is take your MAC shadow, open up the top, and take your knife. So I said before that your knife needs to have a pointy tip on it so you can kind of get in there. You can use anything really pointy, like a nail file you don't like anymore. even your fingernail if you feel so inclined, but something that can get in there. So if you look at the bottom of the shadow, there's like this groove where this plastic piece around the outside sits on top of this whole cylinder. You can see that there's like a groove right there. So that's where basically you want to stick your knife. I usually stick it kind of in the corner, and then if you give it a twist, if you can hear that, it just clicked. If you twist it, you can see that one end is starting to come out there, right here, and you can just pull it out, essentially. So here we go. This is the pan inside the little plastic pan, I guess. This is a Barbie shadow. And the outside case. So you want to save this because you'll want to melt off the glue on the bottom to get the label off. So just set that aside and just use this. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of these. Okay, so as you can see right here, I'm kind of semi-depotted all 6 of the shadows that I was going to depot. In the meantime, I also turned on my straightening iron, and this has a setting 1 to 25, and I set it to like 14 or so on this little dial. You know, anything reasonably hot, like medium hot. You can also turn on the turbo feature if you have that to, you know, heat it up quicker. And in the meantime, take your magnet. This comes like, you know, those spam letters like American Express or whatever. And I cut out a hole for a magnet. So what you can do is take an existing MAC shadow, or kind of eyeball it, I guess. You can make a smaller magnet, it doesn't have to be the same size, and place it on top of your magnet, and trace it. So just take your magnet and cut out the circle that you just traced out from an existing depotted pan or pan shadow you bought. It doesn't have to be perfect because it will go on the bottom of your pan. So if this were the pan shadow, you could see that the magnet would fit right underneath there. You can make it a little smaller so that there's no like pointy edges coming out and looking ugly. You know. You don't want to be too small because you want a lot of, you know, magnetic force being able to stick your shadow on. So just leave it on the towel. The next thing you're going to do is take your wax paper. It doesn't have to be that big of a piece, actually. So just take any size piece, I guess, and put it on top of your heating element. Next, take your eyeshadow and place it on top of the wax paper in the heating element, just like that. Okay, so I'll just go over what you need to be looking for when you're heating your shadow. So if you look at this unheated pan in the plastic, you can see the bottom, and the bottom is relatively flat and even across the surface, nice and shiny, but you can see that there's like a little divot in the center. What you want to look for when you're heating is that center part being melted or depressed. So you could see right now that that is beginning to happen right here. So you have to get ready your, where is it? Oh, my paper clip right here. And you just take a paper clip. It used to be kind of like, you know, like this. You just kind of pull it out. So you have a nice little like wire that's stiff. So what you're going to do is pull out your shadow when it's relatively melted, put it face down on your towel, and poke the back hole with your paper clip like this, and kind of pull up. And you can see that the glue on the pan has completely melted and is away from the plastic. So what you're going to quickly do is take one of your magnets and stick it on to that kind of melted glue on the back of your shadow, and let it sit. And this is why you have the towel right here, because you want to protect the shadow from touching anything dirty or anything like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and put another shadow on the heating element and have it wait for its turn.